This is Nita, and welcome to Infinity Within. Today is going to be a great coaching conversation. We are going to talk about fear, uncontrollable fear, fear that you're not aware of, fear that is consuming and keeping you locked from moving forward. And how do I know how to talk about this? Because I've been there. I have been locked in those spaces where I just couldn't even breathe. I have been, swirled up by a panic attack. And I was trying not to say that plural, but say it plurally. I have lived through and survived PTSD attacks. I've realized over the work that I've done in the last 2 years that my nervous system has been literally turned to on survival mode, running from dinosaurs kind of survival mode. My nervous system just on 24/7 in a full on cortisol rush. And I have worked really, really hard to become very self aware and very intentionally back away from those and realize that they were not real, like that auto on survival mode. Once I got to a safe enough place in the life I was living, that was no longer reality for me. But my body didn't know that. And so I had to do a lot of intentional work to break free of anxiety, runaway thoughts that controlled everything, living in a future that did not exist, panic attacks, reduced to non existent occurrences, PTSD attacks that were just rolling like constantly living in a thunder storm. And you know what I mean if you have those. If you have anxiety that is just constantly gripping you, the what ifs, right? It it is possible with a lot of very intentional work that you pull yourself down out of that. Now, the last two coaching sessions, we have worked on specifically becoming just aware and accepting, really getting into the visualization of your own life. And I thought it was appropriate that the next step be a little bit dialed to the reality of the life you're living. And one of the most prominent obstacle courses and the drivers of a lot of our limitations, right? Say we want to go to college, but we have this insurmountable block of fear after fear after fear. How will I pay for it? How will I get childcare? How will I sign up for classes? How will I ever get admitted? How? How will I manage it? How will I tell people this is what I want to do? Assuming you're an adult, wanting to go back to school. Like that might be a difficult transitionary conversation. And I use something really friendly, like back to school. But what if your fear is around telling your family and friends that you're in an abusive relationship? What if you have a serious illness and you need support? What if you're faced with losing a job or a life change that is out of your control? The fear is real and insurmountable to you at this moment. Today, we're going to go through some exercises and even do a visualization. And the effect of it is really truly going to be up to what you put into it. You showed up already. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to trust that just by the fact that you chose to show up and invest in you today, that you're going to choose to do this work alongside me today in our coaching session. And that you're going to really dive within you. Because this isn't a coaching session or a conversation that is meant for my benefit, although I do get benefit out of these. Every single time that I research these and I have a conversation with you and I coach forward and I put that work out there, I grow too. I grow too. So this is something that we're going to do together. When we look at, circling back, this is something that we're going to grow through and into together. And everybody's growth is different. Everybody's growth is specific to their individual needs and circumstances in the life they are living. So I don't want you to be caught up about what anybody else thinks about the exercises that we're going to do together. So I want to talk to you a little bit about dialing in on. So one thing with fear is it's just over freaking whelming, right? You might have 300 what ifs hitting you, slamming into you all at once. And we're going to dial into and see if we can get it down to the have you ever heard that, like the monster closest to you, the villain closest to you, the thought closest to you, the problem closest to you? We just want to narrow down from that outrageous cloud that might be around an anxious situation in your life and narrow it down to the thing that is the closest to you so we can get kind of a glimpse, a reality glimpse of what is happening in your life. And a lot of times when we're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it can actually just flood our system and we can be overwhelmed with fear and we shut down. So if you experience yourself doing that now or during this exercise, or if you recognize that you do that sometimes, I want you to pause the tape right here, pause your podcast right here. And I want you to go back and either Google or just practice those grounding techniques that we've talked about. If you feel comfortable enough to continue on, recognize that you can ground yourself at any time to reality. A simple one, I wear a bracelet. It has a bead on it. I use that bead and that bracelet to twist and move and keep me connected to reality in moments of confusion, anxiety, stress, panic, or PTSD. You can breathe through your anxiety and breathe through your panic. When you're breathing, notice those smells around you. Really breathe that deep into your lungs. Feel it in your belly. Put your hand on your belly. Feel your belly moving. Connect yourself to your being, yourself. You are valuable, gorgeous, important. Connect to that, even if you can't quite see it yet. I remember being so insanely invisible. And I've mentioned it before, a time frame where I thought I didn't have a soul. Other people could see it, and I received the most beautiful compliment on my soul from just a really amazing person who just the universe brought into my life, and that compliment brought me to tears because I couldn't see what they saw. So when people gift you those real sights of the gorgeous person that you are, even if you can't fully take it in, allow yourself to sit in the uncomfortableness of your own beauty. So one of the things that we can do, in addition to taking time out and giving yourself some space when we're overloaded, grounding yourself and breathing through those overloads of our fears, is that we can actually teach ourselves to face the fear. And if we've allowed, just to pick one, I remember one time I had a house repair that needed to be done. I was going through a very difficult divorce, a difficult loss in my family, a lot of just ugly attacks that were happening, both legal and personal. And I was losing some of the most important people in my life at that time. And I needed to have some general household repairs done, but I was so overloaded and so overwhelmed that I couldn't even breathe. And I went into therapy that day completely in a panic, a panic attack, an anxiety attack, PTSD attack. And she talked me down through this, and I left with a list, just a list of probably 20 items that had to be done, but it also included the steps to get to the point of this simple household repair. And one of the things that we had done is what's the worst thing that can happen? Right? So imagine the worst thing that could happen. For me, if that repair didn't get done, well, I would have, water running throughout the house, or a different repair. I'd have no air conditioning or no heat for my family. And how could I get, it's taking the steps away from that's the absolute worst. Well, we'd still have food, we'd still be alive, we'd still have shelter, and we have mops if the plumbing broke and we had to mop it up, we could still cross that bridge. If we didn't have heat, I could still be in line to have the heating, air conditioning person come out and repair it. So the absolute worst wasn't as terrible as I thought. And she walked me through looking at the evidence of the worst. And I didn't have to be perfect, I was able to create that list from this is what I need, this is my worst case scenario. I could handle the worst case scenario because I could take these steps and these steps and these steps. And it didn't matter if I was perfect or not, because there's 20 different ways to get to the same ending of dealing with the worst case scenario. But I'm not even at the worst case scenario. That wasn't reality. That was just my mind jumping and creating an alternate reality. So when I dialed it back and I looked at the steps, it really was just calming down, taking all of my nervous system out of, the hands of all the things that were happening around me, and put my nervous system into my own hands, and calmly, rationally taking it moment by moment and step by step to deal with each of these items that were just overwhelming me. And it wasn't just I needed household repairs done. I mean, I had court attacks happening and custody attacks happening, and at the same time was losing people who I thought would be in my life forever. So those were all things out of my control. I was trying and I was allowing those things that were out of my control to completely consume and control me, right? The very thing I didn't want to have happen was happening in my nervous system, in my mind, in my body, and in my runaway mental space, right? With the anxiety, the panic, the PTSD. In that session, we worked on visualizing a happier me, a happier ending. We worked on, just what did it look like with the heating, air conditioning, or the plumbing fixed? How would that feel? What was keeping me from feeling that way? And it really was, for me at that time, it was still a largely codependent me giving all my right to happiness and joy to other people. I still didn't have the ability at that time to be fully secure in myself. And I forgive myself for that. I accept that. It's just where I was at that point in my journey. And when we're there, we have to be very, very self-compassionate. And so I'm asking you that as you bring down kind of a list of fears and one pops to the front and you might feel that swirl of panic and anxiety, I'm asking you to also say, I forgive me. I accept me. I allow me to just be where I am right now. Talk out loud about it. This is a good time too for you to go to the basics, and we'll talk a little bit more about the basics later. But the basics are not, alcohol, drugs, and sex, escapes. The basics are things like good, decent food, regular meals, a good night's sleep on a regular basis, exercise, a walk, getting outside and breathing, letting the sun hit you. And then don't be afraid to allow yourself a reward, right? If you've battled one of those fears, if you made it through a panic attack, if you survived a PTSD attack, get on the other side of it and allow yourself to sit down and maybe read a chapter in your favorite book. You know, give yourself the ability to have a night off of everything and have a movie night. Silence your phone, shut out the world. All of those stressors, well, I just named a few of mine, all of those can be shut out and you get to actually allow yourself a reward. So if we if we go back just a little bit here in the swirling storm of fears and those runaway ones, right? I'm sure that at the beginning of that, something popped to your mind. Maybe it's small, maybe it's huge. No matter where you are in your journey, uh, that fear is limiting you. And while one person, their fear might be, oh, that's such a irrelevant fear, that's such a small fear, it's not, because it's real to you. It may be a huge, overwhelming fear, like you need to report somebody for stealing, for theft, for identity theft, for financial theft. You might not want to cross that and do that to that person. But the reality is that person's already done that to you and put you in charge of and responsible for their illegal and irregular behavior. That is not yours to own. That is theirs. And I'm using something that I had to go through there. And that was a huge breakdown of my codependent self when I had to report a person multiple times for their illegal choices. But my life got better when I took that step. When I took that step to honor me and to trust in me and remove myself from their crimes, my life got better and easier. And I broke some of those chains of codependency, which meant that my anxiety, my panic, my PTSD all got a little bit calmer. My nervous system got a little bit calmer. So let's imagine, I'm going to ask you to allow the fear closest to you to be witnessed, just to visualize it, just to see it. And I'm going to ask you these two questions. And depending on which question you answer, we're going to ask a series of other questions. So first, is it a real fear? Is your life in danger from this fear? Is it something tangible that you need to be very, very fearful of? So the first question is it real? And if it is real, is it something you can report to the police? And definitely, you can reach out for help. And you can tell someone about this. Now, the other part of that, for a lot of panic and anxiety, is this fear unrealized? I don't like to use the word imagined because that just always rankled. It made me feel icky. It made my stomach turn because my fear was always very real to me. It wasn't imagined. It was very real and it was gripping my soul and shutting me down. So if your fear is real and tangible, like somebody is hitting you, you need to get police involved and you need to report that violence. You don't deserve that. If your fear is consuming you with runaway thoughts, with imagined realities, that is a fear that is gripping you and it is ungrounded in reality. I get that fear. I get both those fears. I've had both of those fears. But which way do you go? Both ways, you need to ask for help. Both ways, you need a therapist. And both ways, you need to become highly self aware. Highly aware. So I just want you to think about that. I want you to just get real about your fears. I want you to stop pretending. We're not living in the lie of the fear. And we're not giving people our power anymore. It is terrifying to call the domestic abuse hotline. It is terrifying to fill out that first police report. But I'll tell you what, you can do it. You are strong enough to do those things. No matter what those things are, I believe in you and I know you are strong enough. You can take stock of your basic self-care needs and focus and prioritize those. This is a time when you're getting really real with yourself and you're kind of scooping away all the layers of escapes. You're scooping away, I'm not going to gamble this away. I'm not going to sex this away. I'm not going to pretend this away. That's the one us codependent people do. We pretend it isn't happening. We cover up all of the bad with, overdoing and overachieving and over accommodating and over pleasing. We're done. That isn't our problem. It doesn't matter what other people think, say, or want. Their expectations are not real. What we are focusing on is your needs to move into a healthy, happy future. And right at this moment, if you take stock of your current, right now, self-care needs, how are your sleep patterns? Are you eating 3 healthy meals a day? Do you have shelter, a warm place to sleep, clean clothes? Do you have access to a quiet, safe space that is just for you? And what does your health look like? What on your very most basic needs improvement? Does anything, or do you feel really great about where your safe, healthy, basic needs, where your self-care needs are at? I'm going to pause here and I'm going to let you think about that for a moment while we take a quick break. When I come back on the other side of the break, we're going to do a visualization about the future you. And I'm excited about this visualization. I really worked on this one because I wanted it to be so successful for you. It is so important in visualizing the dismantling of our fear that we truly get to a spot where we can feel that. And that's what this next exercise is designed to do. So before we take the break, I'm going to ask that you, if possible, that you create a safe, quiet space for you where you can sit down, where you can close your eyes and you can participate in the next half of this exercise, and that you really commit to showing up for you. Join me right after this break, and thank you so much for being a part of Possibility Coaching with Nita Kruger and Infinity Within. I'll be right back, and I'll see you there. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with me through the break, and thank you for committing to yourself to show up for this visualization exercise. It is important. It's so, like, one of the ways through fear is facing it and imagining a life is possible for you beyond what you're living right now. And if we never take time to visualize that life, to create that life in our mind's eye, we can never, ever take a step towards it. And right now, are you where you want to be in life? Do you have enough money in the bank? Do you have extra money in the bank? Do you have enough food? Do you have the right love in all areas and aspects of your life? I'm not saying that everybody's going to show up and love you the right way, But what I am saying is that you have the right to boundary out people who are not healthy for you. Do you have health? Do you have a healthy body? Do you have healthy patterns and behaviors and foods in your life? And do you have enough time for you and the people around you that you treasure? Enough quality time for you and them. If any of those, or if other things you're popped up and you're like, no, I don't. I need to increase my bank accounts. I'm at risk of losing my house. The power's going to be turned off. Something along those lines. If you're in an unsafe relationship, you don't have the right kind of healthy love around you. How do you get there? How do you get to these things? How do you get to the point where you value yourself so deeply that you create more time and space just for you? What could you do to get there? Could you change one thing about what you're doing right now? Could you add or do one thing in addition or differently? Could you lose something from your daily routine? If you're like me, that codependent survival mechanism, you have every second of every day crammed packed and filled up with things. You're just running through life from one thing to the next in survival mode. You have no idea who you are, what you need. That's where I was at the worst part of my self-abandonment. And we can get away from that. We can adjust our life. We can prioritize ourselves in our own life. And that's what this visualization that we're going to do is going to help you focus and crystallize. It is going to help you bring to front future you. Right now, I'm going to ask that you kind of get comfortable, that you settle into where you are, that if you're sitting up, that you're supported, your back is supported, your feet feel comfortable, you don't have any aches and pains. I'm going to ask that if you're driving, be respectful to your surroundings, but settle into the visualization process without the act of closing your eyes and fully participating. I'm going to ask you to breathe. Just nice, regular breathing. And if you're able to and you're safe, I'm going to have you close your eyes. Feel the space that you're in right now. Place your hands beside you. Feel the fabric that they're sitting on. Feel you in the life that you're living right now. Keeping your eyes closed, allow your mind to see you. To see you just as you are right now. Imagine that you get up and that you go for a walk and you go outside. But when you open the door, you step out, not into the busy street or a sidewalk, but you step out into a beautiful path. Everything disappears away and you see a forest that is most gorgeous to you. And it has filtering sunlight coming through it, and you notice the beauty all around you. Step out and allow yourself to see you walk down that path just a short distance. Pause in your walking and breathe in the scent of the forest that you see. What does it smell like there? You look down and you realize that you are no longer wearing your house shoes, but you are wearing the most perfect walking shoes, the kind that you always dream of. And you realize as you look from your walking shoes up to your outfit that you have on an outfit for walking this path that is of your dreams. You feel comfortable. You feel well cared for and loved. You feel like you are a vision of self-love. You feel that. And you see this outfit and you smile. Not because the outfit's as important as anything other than the realization that you are so blessed with self-love, and it is reflected throughout the clothes that you're wearing. You feel good and you feel healthy. Breathe that in and smell the forest. And maybe your forest is close to the sea air. Maybe it's in the high mountains. Maybe it's close to the desert. But feel the air, smell the scents, and feel the sunlight. It glints across the trail that is behind you and in front of you, and a light breeze catches and rushes across your face, and it brings a smile to your lips. You realize a light, joyful peacefulness. It's a feeling that is deep within your core. And you continue to walk down the path, realizing that you are walking towards your own home. You are walking towards your own family and friends, and you realize how safe, how beautiful this feeling of safety and healthiness is. You have a deeper and deeper sense of being on the right path. This path that you're walking was made just for you, and your intuition is glowing. You feel this enveloping glow that this is the path you are meant to walk. You see a bench just ahead of you, and you walk towards that bench, and you feel called to just sit and allow these feelings of goodness and contentment, of understanding and clarity to crystallize and deepen this moment that is just yours. You realize that this is what your life is meant to look like. This is what your life is meant to feel like. And you know in your soul that this path is the path that you are meant to continue down. Feeling so good and so happy and healthy and so safe, you stand up and continue slowly walking towards the voices that are down closer to your home. The voices that are light and happy. They're healthy, they're safe. You can hear those voices and they're becoming clearer, but something catches your attention. You realize that you're slowly beginning to come upon a reflecting pool of crystal clear water, and you couldn't see it from just down at the bench. As you get to the crystal water, you realize that there is a gorgeous smile beaming at you in a reflection that you can't take your eyes off of. That reflection is giving you the most confident, calm, relaxed smile, as if it's encouraging you to step forward and become one with it. And you realize that you are looking at you that in this crystal clear, beautiful water, that you are seeing you. Courageously, you look into your own eyes and you see the path taken to get to this moment that is leading you to your dream life. You feel the happiness, the contentment, and the confidence. You feel the glory of letting go of all of those traumas and all of those fears. You mouth, thank you. And you see your reflection, say thank you. You feel the loving embrace of your own soul's joyful acceptance at choosing you. A light breeze comes and it stirs the water, and you continue on towards the destination of people who love, respect, and care for you in a safe and healthy way. Confidently, you walk forward down the path, allowing the greetings of love and the feeling of safety and being in charge of the future that you've just witnessed. As that path breaks into a full stream of daylight, no longer filtered daylight from the forest, but a beautiful full daylight, you see a yard with a home that is deep in your subconscious, just waiting to be realized. You visualize this home, it's just right there, and it makes you feel so good. It feels so right. You feel the beauty and the joy of this life that is yours. You take off those shoes that you love, and you stand in the lawn with your bare feet, and you feel the grass. You feel the grass of your home. You hear the laughter around you. You feel the safety, the healthiness. You taste the sweetness of the air and breathe in the beauty of the future, of your future. Enjoy this vision. There is no danger here. You are safe. You are true to you here. The people here respect your boundaries. Your emotions, your needs are valid here. You put yourself first here. Feel any emotions that come to you as you enjoy the feel of the grass on your feet, the breeze circling around you and kissing your skin. There are no wrong emotions. Tears are allowed. Joy is allowed. You begin to walk across the lawn, and you go towards the edge of the lawn. You realize that you're walking up on a view. It's beautiful. God, it's so beautiful. It's breathtaking. And that view envelops you. And as you slowly come back to the moment that you're in right now, and you feel the fabric on the back of your hand, you realize that the view that you're seeing is your path to that future. It is the path that you know is right for you. It is the beautiful next step on the journey. And your next step will be crystal clear to you as you come back. You breathe. Slowly allowing the sounds of your life around you to filter back in. And when I ask you to open your eyes in a moment, I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind for each of these things when I ask you. And when you are ready, take a deep breath. Exhale. And allow your eyes to open when you're ready. Lightly, gently, allow your eyes to fall on any object in front of you. And answer these questions. What animal do you visualize? How did that walk make you feel? And what color is falling over you or emanating from you? I am so proud of you. Oh, I'm so proud of you. The 3 questions at the end are just part of our grounding exercise to help you connect deeper with you. Because the point of all self-work that you do is to build a relationship with yourself. Any answer that you had is perfect. Any answer that you had is real. And if you do this exercise again, as you grow and change and develop a deeper love and sense of self, those answers may change as you do. I would expect them to. My own answers changed over time, so I would think that yours would reflect who you are and where you are in your current journey. Now that you've had that moment of visualization, I think this statement will really ring true, that life without fear feels really good, doesn't it? Life where the people around us see us as we are, accept us as we are, support us through our difficulties, where we are who we are and we're allowed to be so. That is a life that feels pretty good. That life is ready and happening for you and with you. And you now know at least one step, if not several, steps that you can take to start breaking free of that fear that consumes you. What is one step that you can do today? What is one? You might have a list of 10, but I want you to say out loud one thing right now that you can do today that is going to help you dismantle fear. Just say that out loud. Write it down. Whenever I write something down, I like to put the date and time on it because I am very intentional about growth. And I feel like you are showing up to be intentional about your growth. And I like to see progress. If we date and time all of our growth work, then we can actually get a look at how we're progressing. And I love that. I love that we can have measurable growth of this work that we're doing. Sometimes the work has to be redone 4, 5, 6 times. That's okay because you're working on it. And even sometimes when we cannot see our progress, the people that we surround ourselves with will be able to see our progress and help us dial into it. Just like my therapist did for me on the day that, she pulled me out of my fears and pushed me down into reality and put an action plan together for me. That was massive. It was massive. And it was such a simple organizational thing. right? But if we are consumed by fear, those simple things aren't so simple because we're literally just trying to survive to the next breath. Your fear does not own you. It doesn't. Your runaway thoughts do not own you. Your PTSD does not own you. It does not define you. Your panic attacks, your anxiety, your depression, your mental health complexities do not define you. Your view of you defines you. It lifts you, it builds you, it gives you purpose and hope. If you took nothing away from today, I would ask this of you. I would ask for you to go back through the exercise and see if you can grasp, maybe just grasp at reaching out for help. Reaching out, looking for a therapist, looking for a support group, looking for somebody to get real with. Because a step forward is getting real with yourself. And if you went through this process today and you are like, oh, wow, I made progress. That's awesome. You're ready for the next one, right? Give me more, Anita. But if you went through this and you're still feeling blocks and you're still feeling, I can't do that. That's not for me. Well, I'm telling you right now, that's not reality. That is your fear controlling you, manipulating you, and lying to you. There is always a path forward. It just might be really freaking hard. And it might be that idea of a really hard path forward, a really difficult conversation, a really hard ask for help that's too terrifying for you. But I'm going to ask you to show up and try again. Thank you. Thank you, every single one of you who took time and showed up today. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and respect you. I think you're fabulous. And I'm so proud of you. I hope you have a fabulous, amazing day. And I look forward to seeing you back at Infinity Within next week. This is Nita Kruger, Possibility Coaching. Have an amazing, amazing day.